All right, I'd like to call this regular board meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Ballard?
Here.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Sturgill?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First hearing of the public. Rick, you got anything you want to come to the mic about?
You guys will come on up here and pull up a chair.
Oh, dear.
Good evening, folks. I am Jay Pickering. I'm the president of Lorain Education Association and represent the teachers in Lorain. I'm here on behalf of my teachers. Based on recent news stories and some earlier news stories, they're very concerned that the public, especially the parents and the teachers, are unaware of their lack of training on standard-based grades that have been rolled out for the elementary and junior high. There have been numerous comments made by the current administration, including the CEO, which have implied that the teachers were trained in this grading system. And they feel very caught in the middle because they have not been trained, yet they are the ones that deal with the parents who, of course, want to know how their students are doing. And I just wanted to put a little context in this and explain on behalf of them what kind of training has occurred this year and, of course, what kind has not. First, I'd also like to say that the teachers did not request standard-based grades. It was mentioned last year, and I know for certain that my comment was that we were not comfortable with it. At least last year, let alone to come to this year and find out it's being implemented. So that people understand, this year we agreed to come to school 7 days before the students. We were here for 7 days of meetings prior to students arriving. The reason we had been willing to do that was we knew that with the new administration there could be changes, and we thought it best that we could be here and talk with them and come up with and collaborate with them. Actually, we had named them professional collaboration days in order to understand the new changes coming forth this year. Through those 7 days, and we went back and looked real closely to look at the agendas, there was no mention of standard-based grades being on the agenda for any of the meetings for the 7 days before school started. The teachers became first aware that, for the most part, the elementary and junior high teachers, that this grading system was going to take place when they were instructed the week of September 10th to erase all the grades they had entered for the students in the school grading program. They were instructed to do this by their principals. This came from the Chief of Equity and Achievement. The principals were instructed on September 10th to have all teachers erase their grades. And I'll read what was sent to them. If grades have already been entered into Power School, please have teachers remove them for the first interim report because we are actively working with Meta to adjust the grading process within Power School. The grades inside Power School are currently based upon points percentages and may show letter grades. These methods of scoring and displaying grades are not in line with our approach to standard-based grading. That was on September 10th. It took throughout that week for all the teachers to be informed of that. And of course, as soon as that happened, I engaged the administration and asked for an explanation and tried to work with them. I reached out to Keenan Bishop. We did meet a couple of times, and we finally got our final answer. We met with him on, I think, September 16th and again the 24th, and we got a final answer that they intended to continue through the standard-based grades on October 25th, which was after the end of the first 9 weeks. So the question becomes, too, have the teachers been trained since this point? And we have had 3 half-day professional developments. To make sure, we went back through all of our agendas looking for any information about standard or any indication that we were going to meet about standard-based grades on September 11th and in October and November professional developments. We only found one reference to standard-based grades, and that was a short meeting for only 2nd and 3rd grade teachers on September 11th. So we have yet to really sit down and go over this. I will admit that I think some of the principals have made an attempt in their teacher meetings to try to explain standard-based grades, but we have learned that different buildings have been given different explanations. I've also heard a confusion about the numbers associated with the grades. There is a 1 through 5 system and a 1 through 3 system, and that teachers have been informed not to put 4s or 5s. I couldn't figure out, and teachers actually believe that they were told that in some buildings, and I was trying to figure out where that came from. And so I went back to see what has the district told the parents. So in October, the CEO's newsletter, it has an explanation of the grading system on page 2. Just a short one, but it says scholars will be graded on a 5-point scale. 5 is advanced, 4 is accelerated, 3 is proficient, 2 is basic, and 1 is limited. Then there was a flyer given out to, or a booklet here to parents, apparently to explain the system. And on a page later in this, they also have an example of a second grade report card. It has the same 5 descriptors. When report cards finally were about to be given out, it took actually probably an extra week, if not more. Teachers were asked to keep reviewing them. And I met with a teacher, and we looked at the second grade. Now, this example in the handout, or the information to the parents, is a second grade class. The real second grade classes received a performance descriptor. There's only 3. One says, number 3 is mastery, demonstrates full mastery. 2, progressing mastery, and 1, beginning mastery. So I think I understand why people are confused. A lot of the literature has 1 through 5, yet the actual report cards say 1 through 3. We as the teachers have been trying to work with the administration to get a better understanding. That's our recommendation when we learned this was happening. Let's wait till next year. We're not going to say we won't do it, but we would like opportunity to get this right before we do it. So far, we're almost at the end of the second 9 weeks, just in a couple weeks from now, and teachers are still unclear what the system is. Okay. Now, I did find another explanation of the standard-based grades. Apparently, early October, the Chief of Equity and Achievement, Keenan Bishop, put out a YouTube rap to help explain it. It is called What Does an A Weigh? If you were looking for it, go to YouTube and search What Does an A Weigh? It does have a link to the district website, which does have a very short explanation. But that was the explanation that was felt appropriate, at least to give to the parents. That's the only one we could find outside of this description. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to give you the teacher's view of this. We have been told a few times that we've been professionally developed in this. We have not. We're in the dark as much as anybody. We feel bad for the parents and the students because you need to get feedback on how you're doing. It's difficult when we don't know what the grading system is. Yeah. So thank you. I just wanted to put a little clarity and a perspective of the teachers.
So Jay, now I'm confused.
Yes.
So is it a 3-point or a 5-point scale?
Well, the report cards that went out, I know this the second grade student was a 3-point.
Well, I can tell you that, and I'm not trying to tout my own kid, but my kid is a second grader at Tony Morrison. And when I went to conferences, he had all 3s, and I was extremely unhappy with that because I understood it was a 5-point scale. And prior to this grading period or whatever it was, he's always been an A student, has done extremely well in school. So now I'm viewing him as an average student based on, that interim report and that meeting with the teacher. And when I met with the teacher, she obviously knew who I was, and she says, I apologize, and she slid a piece of paper to me and says, now you have the same training I got. And, it's amazing that the biggest training they've gotten is through a rep video on YouTube. I mean, I just don't understand the direction that we're moving in. So, again, I don't know if it's a 5-point or a 3-point, and it is alarming to me that the president of our teachers union doesn't know that either, and nor do our teachers. So what is it that we're trying to accomplish by changing this system in the middle of a grading period or school year? I mean, just
Yes.
alarming.
My question is why is it supposed to be better than the old system, the A, B, C, D, I mean, I guess that's why, and you say you've had PD days, since August, you've had other professional development days,
Mhm.
and yet no training has come forth. I mean, I'm assuming that you've been talking to them, and it seems like they would give it another try and try to get everybody on the same page and try to explain what they're trying to do here. You know, I mean, there's some type of intent here that I'm missing.
Yeah, we're willing to, we're low on time. We put all of our professional developments at the beginning of the year to prepare for the changes of this year. It does
I-
become very difficult this time of year to make changes,
From what
yeah.
I heard, that on your last day, they had, the last day, in the last hour or two, that you did have a PowerPoint presentation on it, and that was it.
Very likely, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't scheduled, it wasn't on their agenda, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that most people didn't feel that it was gonna be rolled out, this fall.
That was my opinion.
But it seems like it's still being rolled out.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead,
Yeah.
Yvonne.
Well, how do the students feel about their grading? How can they interpret it? How do they know how well they're doing? Are they confused? What's going on with our,
Yeah, according to the teachers, they're as confused as the teachers are. And the teachers are trying to put context in it and talk to kids and help with them, but, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, teachers are very frustrated, extremely frustrated over this.
so then that has trickled down to the students? Because they don't know how well they're doing either.
Hmm. I would assume, yep.
Is there a comment section like they used to have in these things?
Yeah, there are
there-
comments,
Are
yeah.
there comments that you can,
On
Mhm.
track or not on track?
Yeah.
that's it?
Yeah,
That's it?
there's a series, and I'm not really sure on all the pieces of that. I would be speaking without knowledge to know exactly what's available to them.
But isn't it true that the two comments that the teachers were allowed to use were on track and not on track?
I believe at interim time, that was what the intention was, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So are they going to get any more training?
I don't know. We're still in talks. We addressed it right away with them to let them know, because that's my job. When an issue comes up with the teacher and they need somebody to be the spokesperson, so I went right to the source, to Keenan Bishop, and we've talked with the CEO about this. And like we said right away, if you're not ready, let's put a pause on it and let's get it ready so we do it right. We're not saying we don't want to do it, but maybe wait till next year to implement this, and they have pursued it right through. We've attempted.
Is it also true that, and I don't know if it was you that approached the CEO, but when he was first approached about this standard-based grading, he had no idea that it was even being implemented?
I believe he knew it was being implemented, but I'm not sure he was aware all the teachers were told to have their grades erased.
That's alarming in itself. Isn't he running this district?
Yeah.
You don't have
yeah.
to answer that. I'm just-
Yeah, and just to put context, and that was 4,500 students and from 350 teachers had their grades were erased for the first 4 weeks of the school year.
So is this what we're beginning to hear, that the teachers have the anxiety, the depression, the overwhelming feeling that they can't do their job, and this is part of it?
Absolutely.
So if they got retraining, they would feel so much better and they would have a hopeful feeling that they could move forward?
Well, it'd be one piece of it, and time is the problem, because we only have so many school days, we only have so many training days. And we're in the middle of the year. That's what we said. We don't have many training days available to address this.
My thought, and one of the questions that I have, maybe the K through 6 thing I can almost understand, but when you get in junior high school, now you can get college credits. So with the algebra and the math and all that, you can actually get a college credit. How is it equated? I can't see how they can equate a 3. If you get a 3, don't you have to have a grade for a college course? They don't use that at community college.
I would assume not. And I'll be honest, I haven't talked directly with those teachers.
They run the Carnegie
Yeah.
system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't see the equation from going from a 3? Is it, what is it? Is it an A? Is it a C? You know, I mean,
According
that's
to the
why,
5-point system, it's a C.
yeah. If it's a 5, we don't know if it's a 5-point system. That's the thing. I mean, is it a 3-point system? Is it a 5-point system? You know, and if nobody gets above a 3, why?
Mhm.
You know, you know, I have read on the, when this standard-based grading thing came out, I have read about other communities that have it and actually like it. But apparently they know how they know what they're doing, you know, and that's, I guess that's what bothers me. I like to know what I'm doing.
Mhm. Yep.
And they also tried to force this on the high school in the beginning, correct?
I had heard some rumors of that, and that goes, I think, back to the comment regarding the Carnegie system. I'm not sure what colleges accept numbers or letters or GPAs, and so I'm not real sure what has happened with that. They really didn't discuss much about the standard-based grading with us as a group. That's why we were surprised that they actually are implementing it.
Another great experiment for Lorain City School District. And I know that you know, not to beat a dead horse, but you opened up your conversation about clarifying, you know, because you've seen some comments in newspaper articles and that, but, you know, I'll be real honest, and I know you're candy coating it, and as you should, but, you know, that this administration has clearly flat out lied to this Board of Education and this community and has intentionally been deceptive on issues like this, to try to make it look like everything's just fine, and allow ODE to think that everything's just fine in this school district, when in actuality it's not. So I appreciate your softening the blow, but I'll just say it how it is.
Mhm. Yes.
If we get the retraining, do you think that will be a move toward being positive for the teachers to feel better, to do a more pleasant job as they return to the classroom?
Well, we're already here to the classroom.
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about when they return in the fall.
Oh, in the fall? Oh, certainly. It would take, you know, I think if a teacher understands how they're grading their students, it takes a lot of anxiety away. Because our teachers feel a lot of anxiety in trying to in working with parents. They feel the anxiety, the fact they want to have the answers for parents and for students. And without knowing the grading system, very hard to give answers, yeah. Yeah.
Because I think it's gonna take more than this year
Yes, I would agree with you there.
than what we have done so far,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Well, I think the other thing, because lots of the feedback that we get, this is just one spoke in the wheel. So we have this grading policy piece, but there are a lot of other areas of disparity. So I would not assume that this one area is the break or make. It has more breaking effect because it's compiled with a lot of other situational things. And so, and most of some of the things are compartmentalized. They're professional, they're not affecting the classroom. But it's impossible when you start having this kind of challenge in terms of process that it doesn't get to the classroom. This is directly impacting kids. You asked the question, what do the kids think about it? I don't even know if the kids only understand grades based on their experience with grades and what they're explained about grades. So, you know, clearly there's a lack of information. There's clearly a lack of training. There's clearly a lack of understanding. And it doesn't seem to be a real desire to address that piece. I mean, I think that's one of our challenges is whatever system you're going to use, whatever process, make sure it's thorough and make sure that it has efficiencies and effectiveness. But I don't know that, in fact, I feel bad I don't know anything about standard-based grading, but I feel bad for the folks who created standard-based grading because this is not making their product. You know, we can't really assess the product of it because we don't know anything about it. It's been implemented so poorly. If it was a good idea, it's no longer going to be able to be, I think it's not going to accomplish what they intended just because at least it was poorly presented. So, you know, that's why I'm cautious about characterizing that system because we don't know it and the way it was implemented here didn't do justice to it, whatever it was.
Now, is there a standard-based testing to this?
No, I don't know how the system works, to be honest with you. I have not experienced the system, so
But how do we know that it's successful?
I don't know. You'd have to look at districts that have used it and take their comments. So it'd
No,
be my-
no, how do we know it's successful for us?
Oh, yeah.
So that if we're trying to get out of the F category, how do we know that this is successful?
Mhm.
So that we're doing so well that we no longer need a CEO?
Mhm.
Isn't that the end product?
Sure.
That we're supposed to do so well that eventually we go back to needing a superintendent?
Mhm. Yeah.
So, how do we grade that then?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, unfortunately. Yeah. And you know, to speak to your question about the anxiety of teachers, as I think about it, for the record, I know that recently there's an Academic Distress Commission meeting where there was a survey given to teachers and other employees, and they had only 130 responses. It was because people are very anxious about the confidentiality of their answers. And for the record, the union told them, answer the questions, do it, because if you're scared and they don't hear your opinions, nothing will ever change. Despite that, there was only 130 people. Teachers are very, very nervous right now.
Out of 300 and?
No, we have 500 teachers and about almost 900 employees. And the survey was given to 900 employees.
Oh, to all of them?
Yes, and at the Academic Distress Commission meeting, I heard that there was 130 responses. And like I said, teachers had asked us, and we had said, hey, answer it. If you're scared, nobody's going to know the real answers. And despite that, it was only 130. They are nervous. They don't know. There's too much personal identificational information before you can answer any questions in the survey. They're afraid there'll be, something will happen to them in their building because they answer these questions.
And I know that somebody also from the Distress Commission or the CEO, I don't know who it was, that made the statement that they couldn't believe that teachers in this district hadn't been surveyed before. Just want to clarify, they had been surveyed before under the most recent administration before the CEO came in, and my understanding is that those results came back pretty high, and a lot of teachers responded to that survey at that time. So I just want to clarify that that's not completely accurate either. So the educators in this district have been surveyed before in the most recent past.
Well, thank you, folks, for allowing me to talk.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Any others for the first hearing of the public? Okay, we need a motion to approve or amend and sign the minutes from the board meeting held November 19th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Any old business? I'm not sure if this would be under old business or new business, but as
Letter.
many,
Oh, go ahead.
No, I don't. As many of you saw, there was a rally at the State House last week in which Mr. Pickering also attended, as well as several other folks. It was organized by State Rep Michelle Lepore-Hagan from Youngstown, State Rep Kent Smith from Euclid, State Rep Teresa Fedor from Toledo, Senator Joe Schiavone, as well as many folks from the Community Leadership Coalition on Education, which included Youngstown, East Cleveland, Warrensville Heights, and others. The It Takes a Village parent group was also in attendance, and several people had spoke, and Jay did a wonderful job speaking on behalf of the teachers and this district and our situation here, and it really was a great conversation, and there are several legislators there in support of repealing House Bill 70 and supporting House Bill 626, which would be stopping other school districts from being affected by House Bill 70 like Lorain and Youngstown currently are. Jay and I had an opportunity to sit down with Gail Manning. We had a nice conversation with her, and the one surprising part of that conversation was, for a while I wondered why, now State Rep Manning, she used to be Senator Manning, had stopped her fight against House Bill 70, because she came out of the gates speaking out against House Bill 70, and she put her neck on the line to do that because we all understand how the political arena is, especially at the State House, and for some reason it just stopped. And, I always wondered but never really asked a question, and I found out that she never wanted to stop that fight. She is still ready to jump in that fight, but apparently some local folks had told her just, hey, pump the brakes, hold off, let's just see how this goes because, we're confident that, Governor Kasich would veto anything that you put across anyway. So just don't do anything. And it was kind of disappointing to hear that because obviously we all know how that worked out for us when we chose the route to be a good partner with the Ohio Department of Education and to begin this whole process. And, we got, kind of sucker punched by the whole process. And, so that was kind of a little disappointing and alarming to hear because I never knew why she kind of just pumped the brakes a little bit and kind of stepped away and went silent. But, it was refreshing to hear from the other side. Obviously those lists of legislators that I just mentioned are all on the Democratic side, but it is also good to hear some folks on the Republican side are against this bill as well as they realize the irreparable harm that it is causing in Youngstown and Lorain and what will cause in East Cleveland, which is the very next district to get attacked by the state of Ohio. So it was overall a good experience out there, and they had a lot of great speakers, and again, it was an effort to rally some folks behind the repeal of House Bill 70 and support House Bill 626. Right now it's a lame duck session for legislators, so we just got to sit by and hope that Governor-elect DeWine is more of a human being and understands education more than the current sitting governor, and hope that he makes some great changes to this legislation and or uses his executive authority to change what the Kasich administration has created and the mess that it's caused in, for our school district in itself. But, with that being said, I also had a conversation. As we know, there are two court battles out there, and we are part of both of those in an indirect way. We know that Youngstown is going to the Supreme Court as they are going to hear their case. East Cleveland is actually awaiting, just to give you an update, obviously they filed a lawsuit and to stop this, based on the fact that the state of Ohio and Ohio Department of Education did not comply with the law in itself. It said 3 straight years, they only had 2. Furthermore, what they found out was that they made several public records requests, and I'm going to talk about the one they made to Lorain here as well, but they made several public records requests, and in one of the public records requests, obviously, Ohio Department of Education wasn't complying at first and kind of playing a little game with them, and but the information, they still have not fully complied with that request. But one of the pieces of information they found out was that the report card data that was being reported was inaccurate. And this is coming straight from Ohio Department of Education. That the grades that East Cleveland were getting were not the actual correct grades, and what they found out in digging is that it's just not East Cleveland, it's several other school districts as well. Now, she didn't elaborate on who those districts were or what the data she was talking about, but what she did say was that, that's one of their pieces of this court battle that, they are actually going to fight, and based on the false information that has been reported on the report cards. The other thing was, they had filed that court case in Cuyahoga County. Ohio Department of Education filed a motion to change a venue, and unfortunately for them, they changed the venue to Franklin County because the Ohio Department of Education is in Franklin County. They're kind of still wondering how that happened since East Cleveland is in Cuyahoga County, and the situation is in Cuyahoga County. Has obviously they're suing Department of Ed, but it doesn't matter where they're located at. It matters where this law has affected. But anyway, so they changed the venue to Franklin County, and Ohio Department of Education has filed a motion to dismiss. And currently, the court is reviewing that motion, and they're awaiting that decision any day. They should have had it already, but, they didn't. And then the other thing that she had brought up to me was that the East Cleveland, through their attorney and Pella Wagner, made a public records request to this school district. And were you part of that response?
No.
Good answer.
It was,
I'm
I had to
glad.
record it being that it was a public records request, but it
Yeah,
was,
I'm glad, because it's alarming, the response from this school district. Number one, they failed to comply with the public records request, and then they completely denied the access to that information. And then when they finally came around, they tried to get the attorneys that are representing East Cleveland to file a confidentiality agreement, that the information that they are receiving in the public records, again, it is a public records request, that the information that they are receiving in the public records request would remain confidential. Again, the alarming part about this is, it is a public records request, and those documents are public records. You can't ask somebody to keep it confidential,
It's a
and
public
the
record.
incompetence that somebody would even suggest that to a group of attorneys that have been around the block several different times is just amazing to me. I just couldn't, when she told me that, I started to laugh, and I'm like, well, welcome to my world. Because I think that this school district has complied with maybe one complete public records request that I made, and that was on the administration addition to this building that I recently made. And obviously, I got that information quicker than I've gotten any public records request. And again, that is no reflection on you, because my requests aren't all purely financial. And that information that I request, if it's financial, that's your responsibility. The other things that I'm requesting are the responsibility of this administration to give me the information that I've requested, and they have refused to do so. So again, I don't know at what point in time somebody files a lawsuit against them in public records of court to get that information, but I just thought it was funny, because just it's absolutely amazing. Every day I hear something that just again amazes me, that I never thought I'd hear a day in my life. Please keep that public record confidential. It's an oxymoron. But I thought I would give you guys an update on that as well. Speaking of public records requests, I trust that all of you got my most recent email that I had sent out about a public records request. Now, in fairness to the district, Mr. Ballard and I had a conversation the other evening with this parent, which sparked some questions. In fairness to the district, I have not spoken to anybody in the district about the incident in itself, or their process and policies that they abided by in rendering their decision against this parent. But I fully intend on getting that information to find out what I'd like to hear both sides of it. It's great to hear one side, but you got to be fair to both sides and hear both sides of it, and try to get a better, clearer understanding of what exactly happened on that day. But again, I will await that information in that public records request. There are 7 points of information that I was asking for, and basically I just want the communications, the incident reports, and primarily the most important piece is getting access to that video camera that we have in that main office to actually see what had occurred in there, because according to the parent, she was in that main office the entire time during the entire incident. So it's just bothersome to me that we have a parent. I'm a parent of students in this school district, and I'm not sure how I would react if somebody told me I couldn't come into any facility in this school district and I was banned for any reason when my child goes here. What happens if my child gets sick or hurt, or you got conferences, or you got donuts with dads, or muffins with mom.
Well,
I
is there-
can't attend any of that stuff because somebody's not happy with me.
Was there some kind of police report filed?
I've also requested that information as well.
Because you have somebody,
The police officer, one of our resource officers was involved in the incident itself, as being involved, meaning he was called there, he had talked with the parent privately. My understanding was, she wasn't, out of control or threatening or any of that. So that's why it kind of, I'm like, well, there were a lot of things that didn't seem right,
because
and
I would think if there was an officer involved,
there's got to be a
then
police
there-
report.
Yeah, and there would have been if that officer was responding to a situation, and the police department was not informed, I would think the protocol, probably even for that officer, would be to inform your superior at the police department
Correct.
when you've been engaged with so, so through the chair, also speak directly with the police department, because we have a very healthy relationship with them, and sometimes people get stuck in the middle of stuff. But yeah,
I fully intend on doing that, and I have to apologize because I wanted to do it a lot sooner than today, but, last couple of days have been pretty crazy busy, but
and I don't know if because it's dealing with safety and dealing with some other confidentiality pieces, would it be appropriate for the board to be able to, obviously the parent wants to engage with the district at some level, and I would love to hear from the parent, along with probably other board members. So what would be the appropriate context? Is that an executive session piece? Do we have to have, because there obviously is a pending legal
Well,
scenario.
right, and what I want to make sure is, again, I'm not sure of the legalities of the situation, so considering, again, the district had banned this parent from all facilities. So what I don't want to do is put that parent in a difficult situation and invite her to a board meeting or even an executive session and have something happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for a legal opinion on the situation and see what our authority is. And in fact, if we do invite this parent to a board meeting to discuss the situation, is she protected by the Board of Education at that time, since we did invite her to this facility?
Because the reason I say that is based on public information request responses. I don't anticipate
No, I don't.
getting, based on the past behavior, I don't. know that we're gonna get-
Unfortunately, I don't either.
So
But
I don't think we should just not go on our information gathering mission or trying
Correct.
to find out what's really happening.
yeah,
I'm good. But with your other 2 points, have we decided to engage the new administration coming into the state at any level? Meaning with Mr. DeWine or Husted, or?
I have.
Find out where their temperature is for this whole House Bill 70.
In one of my most recent emails that I sent out a few weeks back, I did send it to Governor-elect DeWine. And believe it or not, I've sent communications to Ohio Department of Education months ago and haven't received a response from them. But I sent the same communication that I sent to Paolo Di Maria to Governor-elect DeWine, and within 15 minutes, I got a response back. Now, whether it's him or his staff, it makes no difference to me, but they did respond back to me with the name of a young lady that will be spearheading children's initiatives for the governor's office. And he assured me that he would be putting me in contact with her, as he is fully aware of the situation. And again, he told me he appreciated the email and they would be in touch soon. So I think that at some point in time, it'd be great to get a sit-down with him. I don't think that it would be very productive to get a sit-down with, as we've tried to get one with Paolo Di Maria. I have reached out to him and asked for a meeting with him, just as we spoke in last board meeting, and I got, like I call it, I got Phil Collins, no reply at all, but, I just don't think that, I think that Paolo Di Maria is a political puppet for Governor Kasich, and, he's in a position, as we have 5 of them in this district, I believe they're political puppets that, are going by the governor's, he's pulling the strings, and that's what we get, zero accountability in the situation that we're dealing with here in Lorain. And until a new governor is put into that seat, I just don't think that we're going to get a whole lot from Ohio Department of Education, as any response I've gotten from them has been them restating the law, and that we need to communicate with the CEO, is the response I get from anybody at ODE. So it's clear what their position is. Any other old business?
Well, I have some positive old business.
Love it.
I think it's wonderful what you did, inviting some students that had done some fabulous academic work and all type of academic achievement, and I hope that we continue to do that. And when I had asked for the teachers to
Motion.
oh, to send some students with their names in, they immediately did that. We have all type of students that are doing wonderful work here. And I hope that the board, as we continue, that we can bring 1 or 2 students every board meeting here, at least once a month, and show our shining example, and even down to the elementary level, and showcase them up before the board. That is excellent, and I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Commend yourself as well. You're part of this board. Report and recommendations of the treasurer.
Just the one piece I have is the recommendation for new board member for the Lorain Public Library System. Item 8.02.
Okay, we need a motion to approve 8.02.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
No.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Can I hold on, please? I have to read that. I'm sorry. I didn't.
You
It's
got the
just-
support. That's that other loose one.
That one down.
Monica Snipes.
Yes.
Go off of their recommendation.
That's fine. That's what we always do. Yeah. I'm sorry, back to the old business that was new business, if I could digress for a moment.
Certainly.
Because Bill just mentioned to me, and I do now remember reading something. There was something we got from ODE, Josh, pertaining to our 5-year forecast.
It is where we've always had, it's standard procedure, basically. We were projecting a deficit in 2021. It's been that way since I got here, as far back. That was always kind of the year that it comes. And it just so happens now that we're in October, we're 3 years out. So according to standards and everything with them, we're now in precaution based on that because we're 3 years out.
Okay.
Next year it'll be caution, the year after that it'd be emergency.
It's just a tip, it's just something that every.
It's protocol, yeah,
Yep.
based on, we
On the
hit,
calendar, you hit a certain date, and
Yep.
then, okay, got
yeah,
it.
as we didn't qualify in May because it wasn't 3 years out yet. Once we hit October, we're now in this current fiscal year. And actually went upon reviewing it, because I had to do a lot of reporting to submit a report to them basically as our recovery plan. Upon reviewing that, I realized that I did project out higher costs for our one-to-one initiative rollout. It should have only been a 2-year, and I actually flatlined those costs through the life of the forecast. So there should be enough there that it would push it into 2022. I'm asking them, I requested if I can resubmit the 5-year forecast and update to it, because otherwise I'm going to fix that in May anyways. So if I fix it in May, it would pull us out of it anyways, or if they'll let me do it now, I'll resubmit it now. So that was a typo on my part, spreading it, like, because I trend everything anyways, so the fact that it was in there for this year and next year, I trend it for the other 3 years, and I shouldn't have, so,
That's fine.
okay. And I'll update you guys as soon as I hear back from them.
Thank you.
Any new business? requests from board members? Second hearing of the public.
You wanna go again?
Okay, if there's nothing further, our next board meeting will be held December 17th at 5 o'clock right here. If that is all, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes,
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
and I will let you know
This has been a production of Lorain City Schools TV 20 WLCS.